morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, April 29th, 2019.
Commissioner Cabello, James, Davis, and Caloza are present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Bureau of Contract Administration, Brett McReynolds.
Good morning, Pamela Ostrander, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Asad Al-Najjar, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Brad Jensen, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Robert Potter, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive one speaker card under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive speaker cards on items 1 through 5 and also number 7. For the record, Commissioner Garcia has joined the meeting as well.
Okay, then we'll take general public comment. Mr. Sachs on general public comment.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much, Arnold Roth Sachs. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. I appreciate the work that people have put in. But I have real concerns. I've been going around the city, fortunately or unfortunately, and I've seen a lot of different things. And I've been to a few council meetings. Unfortunately, or fortunately for them, they were on break last week. The Board of Supervisors, MTA, and my real question is, who's in charge? Who's in charge of the city? Who's in charge of the county? Who's in charge? The place is really turning ugly. It's, people have their hands at each other's throats, almost. You can feel it. You go into city council chambers, and you better be wearing 3 bulletproof vests, because it's not the people in the audience you have to worry about, it's the people sitting around the horseshoe. They're ready to kill each other. And they really don't disguise it very well. The animosity is over the top. And the mayor, I don't know. What is he doing? Doesn't seem to be taking part in any part of these pictures. And the Board of Supervisors is stuck on stupid. They believe 6 times 12 and 6 times 11 both equal 66. It was the first item on the agenda that I ever went to speak about, was they're increasing the size of Sunshine Canyon landfill. And nobody's ever changed it. That's dictatorship. When people tell you how to think about doing math, they'll tell you what to think about what you're wearing. They'll tell you what to think about what you're saying. That's why you don't get the opportunity to speak in front of other council meetings, because they don't want to hear anything. They want to hear noise, because noise is noise. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My spider sense is really tingling. I'm really sharp. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Agenda item, don't go too far, Mr. Sachs. Agenda item number 2, Authority for Expenditure, Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works. Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $50,000 to pay for the Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works annual membership dues for fiscal year 2018-2019. Mr. Sachs, you have a card on. By the way, before that, we'll close general public comment since we have no other cards on general public comment. Mr. Sachs, we'll go ahead and call you on number 2.
Okay. Well, thank you again. So here, actually, there's 2 things. Fiscal year 2018-2019, didn't that end? I mean, the fiscal year starts in July 1st and ends in June, and we're in what is this? We're starting April. May in a week? April. So essentially, you're paying at the end of the year for your dues. And who are the publicly owned treatment works annual membership? What do they do? Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Christina Jones on number 2.
Good morning, everybody. Whoa. Too short. Morning. There we go. Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Christina Jones from Regulatory Affairs Division, here to present on SCAP, which you just described. We are members. We have been for as long as I've been in sanitation and probably for the last decade. Enrique Zaldivar, our general manager, he is on the board of directors, along with other local agencies like LA County, Orange County, and Long Beach. They are all participants. I'm also on the board, not on the board, but as a leadership for the land committee. And we've benefited in a lot of ways, specifically our Green Acres Farm when we were in litigation years back. They were a big help with that, and going forward they've been also helpful with emerging issues related to water sewage intrusion into the ground, and they've been looking into a lot of issues of emerging concern in not just Los Angeles but in Southern California and how it could impact us other places. So they've had a long-term impact on how we've been able to conduct our business. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Great, thank you, Ms. Jones. Any questions on number 2? Commissioner Caballos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, ma'am. Agenda item, any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Agenda item number 3, authority for expenditure. The California-Nevada section of the American Water Works Association, sanitation of the office, and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $30,000 to pay for advanced water treatment operator certification contribution payments. Sanitation is one of the major sponsors contributing to the program. The fund is needed for hiring consultants and developing exams. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 3.
Yes, I do have a card in number 3, Arnold Ross Sachs. It seems to me that the funding that's being paid out here is actually for a position, salaries. The fund is needed to hire consultants in developing exams. The consultants will develop the exams, or the water treatment operators will develop the exams? I'm somewhat miffed on some of these things. And don't they already have consultants? And don't they already have an exam? What would be the reasoning to change the exams that they have and to hire more consultants? Don't you have a request for a proposal, a request for qualifications that you'd issue to hire the consultants that you need for these positions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Gonzalez on number 3. There you go. You got a couple things to talk about. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, President James, commissioners, board representatives, executive officers, and legal counsel. My name is Fernando Gonzalez. I'm the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant Manager. We are moving forward towards our goal of 100% water recycling in the city of Los Angeles. My plant, the Terminal Island, will be the first one to go 100% next year. Not far behind are Donald C. Tillman, Los Angeles, Glendale, and then eventually Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. Now, advanced purification of wastewater, it's a different entity altogether. It goes beyond conventional treatment of wastewater, yet it's not quite what the drinking water treatment standards. The state offers certifications for wastewater treatment operators, and the state offers certification for water treatment operators. Now, we are caught in between these two worlds. Non-profit, non-governmental organizations such as the American Water Works Association of California and Nevada and the California Water Environment Association are putting together a certification program for advanced water treatment that would include the gap in between wastewater treatment and drinking water treatment. They have put together this coalition. Of course, financial resources are needed, not only for the formulation of the examination of the different 5 grade certifications there will be for advanced water treatment. Also, they need to, in addition to develop the exam, they need to outreach to potential candidates to take the test, and also, of course, get all of the agencies involved. Now, the Metropolitan Water District, the sanitation agencies of San Diego, Long Beach, and of course, Los Angeles Sanitation and Environment are pitching in to provide the financial resources for these NGOs to, first of all, develop the exam, make a marketing drive so we could get all of the potential candidates, and then keep going with the certification process. So for all, it's good because we need to make sure that everyone who is responsible for the operation of the water purification facilities is, has a baseline qualification. We believe that eventually the state will take whatever is being developed right now and come up with an official state certification. But for now, we think that this is the right way to go to obtain certification for operators, and we'd like to be part of that coalition.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Any questions at all? Thank you for the explanation. Commissioner Caballos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We will send number 3 forthwith. Agenda item number 4 is a subcontractor substitution. Reyes Construction Incorporated. We have 2 of them this morning from Reyes. Number 4 is recommending that the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis approving the request of Reyes Construction for the subcontractor substitution of Herbert Incorporated with Adams and Smith Incorporated for fences and handrails work on the North Atwater non-motorized multimodal bridge. It's a federal project. Mr. Espindola on number 4. I'm sorry, before we have you, we have Mr. Sachs. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 4.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. James, President. Arnold Ross Sachs again. I'd almost like to take 4 and 5 together. It seems like
Go ahead, you can.
English being spun here. You're doing a substitution with Reyes Construction with substituting Herbert Incorporated with Adams and Smith Incorporated for fences and handrail work. That's number 4. But number 5 is you're substituting Reyes Construction for MWC Group for structural steel work on the Central Los Angeles Recycling and Transfer Station. And I'm not sure if that's stormwater and safety improvements phase 2, because it just, there's a step that seems to be missing here. And Reyes Construction, would that have any connection with the ex-councilman who used to, I can't remember his first name, but he was a councilman, Ed Reyes, thank you. He was a councilman, and I am finding in some of the things I go through in the city that a lot of people who are sitting in council seats use those positions to enhance their wealth by creating different companies and different DBAs and different things that make them eligible for permits and the money that comes from the permits. I would ask that you do some more diligence. I don't know if there's a request for proposal here or a request for qualifications, but I would ask that you do more diligence. There needs to be some kind of separation between, I think the word is, if you have that position.
2 minutes.
Conflict of interest. Thank you. I apologize.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Espindola. Hey, Chris. Go ahead, Mr. Espindola.
Thank you. George Spindola with the Bureau of Contract Administration. Doing item number 4. The Bureau received a request on March 12, 2009.
Just on number 4, Mr. Espindola. The speaker spoke on both, but you're just on number 4 right now.
Yes. The Bureau received a request on March 12, 2019 from Reyes Construction Incorporated to substitute their bid-listed subcontractor, Herbert Incorporated, a OBE contractor, for fences and handrails work with Reyes Construction Home Forces, an OBE contractor, and Adam and Smith Incorporated, an OBE contractor as well. The request was accompanied by a letter from Herbert Incorporated withdrawing from their work. Herbert Incorporated does not have enough forces to meet the project schedule. The Bureau of Contract Administration, Office of Contract Compliance, verified that Reyes Construction administered a good faith effort to find another qualified contractor. The bid listed amount for Herbert Incorporated is $308,602. Reyes Construction will complete a portion of the work for $156,371 with 32 cents. And for steel guardrail, wood, steel mesh for pedestrian bridge, Adams and Smith will complete the remaining portion of the work for $179,309, a difference of $27,078 with 75 cents. Reyes Constructions will decrease its prime participation by $27,078 with 75 cents. Therefore, these substitutions are no cost to the city. The Bureau concurs with the recommendation of Commissioner Davis to approve the substitution.
Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Davis on number 4.
For the record, the Reyes construction that we're talking about here is not related to the former councilman, is it?
No, I don't know that, Commissioner.
Well, Chris Smith knows. I was going to say you can make the statement for the record.
Yeah.
We'll get Chris to come around, Mr. Espindola.
Yeah, I was just to reconfirm my information that it is not.
I know that we've had Reyes Construction work for years, and I realize that that was a point raised by Mr. Sachs. He hasn't been here often lately, and we've had a number of Reyes Construction items. But go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration. We're not aware of any connection between this company and the former councilperson.
This is the same Reyes that we've been working with for years, correct?
Correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make for the record that I was correct in that, so thank you for that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? So that's your motion. So Commissioner Garcia, second on agenda item number 4. Any objection? Without objection, I'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Thank you. Agenda item number 5. This is also a request for a substitution from Reyes Construction Incorporated. Recommending that the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis approving their request for the subcontractor substitution of MWC Group Incorporated with Reyes Construction itself for structural steel work on the Central Los Angeles Recycling and Transfer Station Clark's Stormwater and Safety Improvements Phase 2 project. Mr. Espindola on number 5.
Good morning again. The Bureau received a request on March 7, 2019 from Reyes Construction Incorporated to substitute their bid-listed subcontractor, MWC Group Incorporated, a OBE contractor, for structural steel work with Reyes Construction Owned Forces, another OBE contractor. The request was accompanied by a letter from MWC Group withdrawing from their portion of the work. MWC Group did not agree with the project specs. The Bureau of Contract Administration, Office of Contract Compliance, verified that Reyes Construction administered a good faith effort to find another qualified subcontractor. The bid listed amount for MWC Group is $126,900. Reyes Construction will complete the same work for $160,308, decreasing its prime participation by $33,408. Therefore, this substitution is at no cost to the city. The Bureau concurs with the recommendation of Commissioner Davis to approve the substitution.
Okay, thank you. I just have a couple of confirming questions for our city attorney on this. So recognizing, Mr. Jordan, that Reyes is stepping in to do the work themselves because MWC withdrew, and Reyes confirmed, according to Mr. Espindola, that they did a good faith effort to try and substitute, therefore they're doing it themselves. Because of the difference in price, they're reducing their prime participation. But I'm assuming they're able to do this because MWC withdrew so it doesn't have an effect on their mandatory subcontracting minimum that was put in the bid. This is after the fact, obviously.
No, I don't think there should be any issue here for a variety of reasons. The subcontractor withdrew. That's reflected in the report. They did a good faith effort to find the alternative subcontractors. If the new subcontractor that's come in is going to actually cost more, and so they're reducing the prime, then theoretically they're increasing their amount of subcontracting because now they're doing less work and subcontracting out more. It's a net cost to the city is zero because they're reducing their own effort. So bottom line is we're good all around.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up when I made it maybe more confusing. Is that your motion, Commissioner Davis? All right, I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Agenda item number 1, request for qualifications, RFQ and personal services contracts negotiations, on-call full-service right-of-way consultants, and appraisal consultants, recommending that the board first authorize the city engineer to issue and advertise the transmitted RFQs to full-service right-of-way consultants and appraisal consultants. Those are transmittals 1 and 2. Secondly, authorize the staff from the Department of Public Works to evaluate the respondents based upon the requirements and procedures that are set forth in the request for qualifications. Third, authorize the city engineer to negotiate a personal services contract with the highest rated and most responsive firms, and the word is firms. Will confirm with Mr. Jimenez that it might be more than one, or probably will be more than one. And fourth, direct the city engineer to report to the Board of Public Works with his recommendation on executing the negotiated contracts. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 1.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Ross Sachs. I do have a couple of questions regarding this. One, I would highly recommend or suggest maybe that since you're, by the way, when you read this, Mr. President, you read Department from the Public Works, but then you, in parentheses, you have Public Works written in again. So I only read Public Works once, and my question would be, why is Public Works there twice? That being said, I would recommend, or personal opinion, that before the city engineer negotiate a personal services contract, he comes before the board with his recommendations, because you're getting recommendations from the staff of Public Works, but you're taking the city engineer and letting him negotiate the contract. So you're kind of like going in two different directions there. I would say that if your staff is making recommendations, they should come before the board, and they should also have the president come before the board to listen to those recommendations before the president signs a contract. Once the president signs a contract, there's nothing to negotiate. That being said, with subcontractors and federal contracts, if you change subcontractors from federal contracts, that means you don't have to meet the federal contract requirements, which may be higher union wages, some kind of wages involved. But when you go to a subcontractor that's changed, because they don't have to meet those requirements, only the contractor has to meet those requirements. It's very enlightening when you learn the real English language and how it's used in a lot of these contracts to negotiate loopholes. I'm telling you, my spider sense is tingling and I'm really sharp. I've been re-energized. I'm standing here in front of you because a lot of people have sacrificed
2 minutes
to let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Jimenez, and the reason we have words in parenthesis after a longer word, it indicates that subsequently in the description we might use the shorter version. It's just a descriptor of an abbreviation, number 1. And number 2, you might have your spidey sense read the LA Municipal Code. The Municipal Code precludes us from actually negotiating contracts, as much as that frustrates me almost on a daily basis. Believe me, I would love to be able to do it. Mr. Jimenez, go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Udi Jimenez, Bureau of Engineering, Chief Real Estate Officer. And I'm here before you asking the board to give us the city engineer the authority to issue RFQs for full-service right-of-way consultants and appraisal consultants. Most of the work that we do in right-of-way acquisitions are done in-house, and from time to time with spikes in the work, we'll ask certain consultants to help us out with the work, but for the past 10 years, 95% of the work has been done in-house, and we continue to do the work in-house. But again, with so much construction going on, so many public works projects, we're looking for the authority to be able to hire consultants when we need them.
And Mr. Jimenez, this would just be on an as-needed basis. As you said, your division does much of this work already internally, but with an increase in construction and an increase in activity that we see, sometimes your shop is not able to do all of the work, and you would like to have the ability to reach out to some of these firms that have, in essence, proven themselves through the RFQ process.
Correct. It's not generally a very big list. It's actually very small. It's highly specialized work, and we will likely not get more than 5 or 6.
That's more than I thought. I thought you were going to end up with 2 or 3, but okay.
Yeah, we might get 5.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Cabello?
Thank you, President James. I think I need Dr. Campos for this, but he seems to be out in the audience, so sorry about that. I just wanted to make a small minor correction for the record on page 6 of the board report, and I'll have Dr. Campos ready to go. There's a reference in the first paragraph under the bullet points, under Business Inclusion Program paragraph, to the Mayor's Office of Economic and Business Policy. It is technically called the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. So if we can just correct that for the record, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Where did that go?
We will do that.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, they used an old mom. Yeah.
So on,
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, on the right-of-way area, that's a subspecialty where there are very few people who are certified in that area. Is that one of the highly technical areas?
Yes.
And we've received an exemption from the BIP program on that in terms of our outreach. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Anything further? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Colosa. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith?
As amended?
Well, you're amending the board report, so you need that.
As amended, yes.
So but we're not amending the recommendation.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry for my confusion. I thought we only amended it when we had a recommendation that we're amending. So the motion is as amended and seconded as amended. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Have we cleared the desk of the voting items?
This takes you back to approval of the minutes and then the 2
I have
oral
meeting
reports.
minutes somewhere. I don't know where they went, but they're from March 20th, 2019, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt the meeting minutes from the meeting of March 20th, 2019. Let's take agenda items 6 and 7 separately. We have Mr. Ohanian, who's here for both on engineering, but we've got separate people for the items otherwise. So agenda item number 6, oral report, task order solicitations. Task order solicitation, the TOS process update, utilization of subcontractors on these TOS, and third, reports back on task orders from pre-qualified lists, written and oral reports. Mr. Ohanian from engineering.
Good morning, Eddie Ohanian from Bureau of Engineering. I'm Division Engineer for Project Award and Control Division. I'm here to provide a quarterly report on status of personal services contracts managed by the Bureau of Engineering for the period of January 1st, 2019 to March 31st, 2019. During this quarter, 5 contracts expired and archived, and 1 new contract was executed. The quarter started with 109 contracts and ended with 105 contracts. Summary of invoices. During the first quarter, we received 110 invoices for a total amount of $12,361,000. From this invoices, we had 39 contracts that are monitored for MBEWB outreach program. 11% was invoiced that included minority business enterprise, and 0.5% was WBE, women business enterprise. A total of 50% of this amount of $2.6 million was outsourced to sub-consultants. As far as business inclusion program, there are 58 contracts, and we had total of $7,139,709 were invoiced, of which 11% was invoiced to MBE WB outreach program, MBE minority business enterprise, and 13% women business enterprise, and 22% for small business enterprise, 15% for emerging business enterprise, and 0.4% for disabled veterans business enterprise. Again, as part of this business inclusion program, 39% was subcontracted to sub-consultants. As far as disadvantaged business outreach program, we have 13 active contracts, and $2,581,000 was invoiced, of which 15% was invoiced towards disadvantaged business enterprise. As part of this program, again, 31% of the invoices was toward consultants that was subbed out to sub-consultants. Now, as far as a summary of task orders, during the quarter 1, which is January 1st to 31st, March 31st, we had 15 new tasks were issued toward these contracts. From this 15, 7 tasks were issued that they were under $150,000. I'm sorry, they're over $150,000, and they were approved by the Board of Public Works. The total amount for the 7 tasks are $8,467,000, and there were 8 new tasks were issued under $150,000 by the city engineer under Policy 793. The total amount for this 8 tasks is $686,800. Now, as far as task order solicitation update, task order solicitation has been going through Los Angeles BAVN, that stands for Business Assistance Virtual Network, continues to be very successful. We have received no complaints during the quarter. And we have 0 contracts to expire during the next 90 days or the next quarter, which is April 1st to end of June of 2019. Out of 110 contracts, active contracts that we currently manage by the Bureau of Engineering, at the time that this report is prepared, we have 34 contracts that showed negative deviations. In my meeting with contract managers and project managers and review of all of our status of our projects, we have concluded that there is sufficient time and funds available in those contracts for consultants to meet their pledges. So at this point, we believe that all of our contracts are in good standing. If you have any questions.
I don't have any questions as much as just a couple of statements on the written report from my perspective. I like this written report. I like this format for us. I think I probably told you that last time you were here on this item. When we look at the current negative deviations, yes, there are some negative deviations, but even when you look at the contracts where you've listed the negative deviations, some of the actual percentage participation is pretty good. Some of them it's really good. Granted, it's a negative deviation from the weighted pledge percentage, but you're still hitting some decent numbers when you have a negative deviation. And some of the negative deviations are very slight.
Thank you.
Some are larger than others, but generally, a lot of them are good. You've got a couple of problem ones. The Tetra Tech, 13% pledge to zero, but that's a very low. This contract actually has 3 tasks that are in the early stages of the work. So correct. It's a very low spend, which means it's early, which means as you spend in the contract, those numbers are going to resurface.
Correct. So most of the work that is subbed out by consultant firms, when it goes to smaller businesses, the amount of work that they have to look at the entire project delivery, and then they segment the project. For example, they decide all the project estimating, cost estimating is going to go to this minority contract, and they also have a scheduling of their project at the end of the project design phase that goes to another minority business. Therefore, most of the services are utilized towards end of the design phase of this project. So early on, we don't have that many pledges. That it appears that we have a large amount of negative deviations. But as project concludes and goes toward the end, those minority sub-consultants, they receive work and they complete, and we are hoping that all of our, we have no reason to believe that they're not going to meet their pledges, although we are in very close communication with them.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Davis?
On page 4, we have under task awarded under policy 793, we have AECOM technical services and exempt. So these firms were exempt. Why were they exempt? Was it a highly technical area?
It's a very good question. We have separated here the contracts that shows these tasks were awarded under policy 793. That means they're under $150,000. However, as part of
they're under
$150,000.
Okay.
However, as far as MBE-WB outreach program, if the task is less than $100,000, they're not monitored for MBE-WB outreach program. Therefore, we show them here as exempt.
Gotcha. And then the same is true on page 5 for, this is a disadvantage, so it's not applicable. I got it. All right, thank you. I just needed a definition of those terms.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? The oral report will be, thank you. So the oral report will be received from engineering. We have sanitation. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tu Van Ho. I'm with Sanitation Wastewater Engineering Services Division. Today I'm going to provide the TOS update for the planning and technical services for wastewater, stormwater, and solid resource program. We have 25 existing on-call contracts. It will expire on July 22nd of this year, and our board report is currently being processed, and hopefully we can submit the board report to you by May or June, because right now, Bureau of Contract Administration, they are reviewing our board report. Since the day we executed our on-call contract in July 2014, we have issued total of 100 task order and awarded 85 task order to 20 prime consultants for a total contract amount of $128.1 million. For sub-consultant participation under Business Inclusion Program, we have achieved 28% MBE, 10% WBE, 24% SBE, 16% EBE, 1% DVBE, and 19% OBE. Sanitation will continue to advertise our TOS through LA Bavin and sanitation website, and we continue to update all subcontract amount in the LA Bavins after the TOS are awarded. And we also continue to remind the prime consultant to have their subconsultant to register in LA Bavin when they are doing the business with the city. The last one, per policy 793, a written report on the task order was submitted to you last week. Miss Sherry Kuroki, she submitted our written report with her quarterly report to you last week already. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Alexa Esparza. I'm with Information and Control Systems Division, and I'm here to talk about the 9 ICSD on-call contracts for sanitation, automation, and technology projects. The nine contracts will expire on April 8th, 2021, and an amendment to extend the contracts is being prepared. Since April of 2016, we have issued...
Are you still on number 6, or are you doing number 7?
No, it's still number 6.
Okay,
it's
go
just, I'm also sanitation. We're different divisions, so we have different TOS.
Got it. Thank
procedures. I know, it's confusing. I'm sorry.
Got it.
Let's see, we have 16 total task orders issued with a total of 9 awarded. The contract amount awarded for these TOSs is $11,455,776. Achieved to date, we have MBE of 29.7%, WBE of 21.5%, SBE of 1.1%, and EBE of 0.3%. And so far, we don't have anything to report for DVBE or OBE. We continue to advertise the task order solicitations on LA Bavin as well as through direct email to our 9 contractors. And that's all for me.
Thank you. That's it for agenda item number 6. On agenda item number 7, so the oral reports will be received on number 6. Number 7, quarterly status report of personal services contracts. Mr. Sachs, you have in a card on number 7. On most, I normally don't do that, but no, you go ahead and speak now, sir. We don't take a vote on these items. They're just oral reports. So if you have that request on a voting item, you can let me know. Sometimes I'll consider that. But for oral reports, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you considering that. So my questions would be all bureaus. It doesn't include agencies. It doesn't include departments. How many contracts do you have? Let me give you an example of a personal service contract. I save a lot of articles, and this is one that I saved that was from the county, from 11016. It's about the sheriff. And I pointed out to myself, I made a little note here that the council has begun making the case that the board has supervisory authority over the sheriff and his staff. And I'm thinking, yes, that's one of the problems, is the board has authority over the personnel, which means the sheriff has no authority over the personnel. So the board, but right above it is a line, and I'm so freaked out. It states that the supervisors also blocked McDonald from hiring legal advisors who would be responsible to him and not to the county council, who is hired and fired by the board. That makes that a personal service contract. And I pointed it out at the Board of Supervisors. And at the last MTA board meeting, it was interesting to watch the dynamics play out because the chairperson had a question, but she doesn't have the authority. The county doesn't have the authority in the city to do policy. So she had to ask for legal advice. But she couldn't ask county counsel because that's a private attorney. It's a personal attorney. So she called somebody over. And you watch the dynamics play out and you don't realize what's going on. And then you realize the person she called over to speak with would have been a city attorney who would have had the authority to set policy in the city. Because the MTA headquarters is actually located in the city of Los Angeles and not in the county unincorporated area.
2 minutes.
That's the problem with personal contracts.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs.
Thank you.
Mr. Ohanian on engineering, anything on the personal services contracts? Anything additional on the personal services contracts?
Nothing additional, no.
So everything regarding the personal services contracts is included in here?
There is everything. Yes.
Okay, thank you. You could have told us that before, but thank you, sir. Sherry, Ms. Kuroki from sanitation, and Sherry, would you, after we're going to be done after this oral report, would you see me after the meeting?
Sure thing.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Good
Thank you for the email. We got it on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Rep, City Attorney, Executive Officer. My name is Sherry Kuroki. I'm with Sanitation. The amount billed since the last quarter was $42.4 million. The total for contracts with subcontractor participation is as follows. For the older MBE WB Outreach Program contracts, $16.6 million. For the newer BIP program contracts, $24.8 million. And the breakdown is as follows. Just let you know, the numbers for the older contracts is a little off. We didn't have time to input some invoices that we had problems with, but the numbers will be more accurate in the next quarterly report. So for MBE, $10,097, or 0%, is less than 1%. WBE, $362,921, or 2%. OBE, about the same, 2%, for a total of $736,010, or 4%. For the newer BIP contracts, MBE, $3.5 million, or 14%. WBE, $587,982, or 2%. SBE, $2.26 million, or 9%. EBE, $1.3 million, or 5%. DVBE, $116,062, less than 1%. OBE, $3.65 million, 14%, for a total of $8.7 million, or 34%. We have 7 solid waste biosolids contracts expiring within the next 9 months. 2 of those contracts will be renewed. First one is with Finucchi Farms, and sanitation will be exercising a 3-year renewal option containing that contract, and that board report is currently under ConAd review. Second one, responsible biosolids management. We will also be exercising a 3-year renewal option containing that contract. That contract is also under ConAd review. 5 contracts won't be renewed. First one is on-site truck washing. We're executing new contracts with the selected contractors from the RFQ process. CR&R for organic material processing. We're distributing a new RFP. Sims Recycling was a backup contract for e-waste recycling. We never use them. Rarick Pacific Company, exercising new contracts from the RFP process. Contracts currently under CEO review. And West Coast Rendering for data animal processing. And LA San will be exploring new technologies for these services with other contractors. We have 28 wastewater, stormwater, solid resources contracts expiring. 24 of them will be renewed, and we'll be exercising a 5-year renewal option containing those contracts. And as Tuvan noted, they are currently under ConAd review. 4 contracts won't be renewed. AECOM, because we already have an AECOM contract, on-call contract. ABB, that's for control system support at DC Tillman, and the contract will no longer be needed due to the wastewater control system replacement project. National Plant Service for sewer condition assessment We'll be exercising new contracts, we're executing new contracts with selected proposers from the RFP process and Pacific Sewer Maintenance Corp. And route tamers for sewer root control treatment. And we're also going to be executing new contracts with the selected proposer from the RFP process. We have 16 contracts with MBEWB.
Before you get to that,
yes.
just following along here, on the National Plant Services, that expires on June 4th, 2019. You're saying that you will execute new contracts from the RFP process. Will you have time between now and the expiration date?
Yes, actually, I've actually already reviewed the final contracts, so they'll be going over the ConAts, and we're going to have to ask for they be expedited. If they can't be executed in time, we'll probably have to do a letter of agreement, like for a short-term basis until they can be executed.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we have 16 contracts with subcontractor deviation concerns. That's actually down 4 contracts from last quarter's 20 contracts. And the reasons are the same as last quarter. LA Sanitation revised the scope of services, and therefore the subcontractor goals won't be met. Subcontractors will be utilized later during the project. As Eddie said, oftentimes subcontractor work is backloaded in a project, so it doesn't occur till later. Also, LA Stan performed a subcontractor portion of the work for some of our task orders. And occasionally the contractor will overestimate the services required of the subcontractor, since it's really not an exact science. So sometimes we're off maybe by 1 or 2%.
Okay. Commissioner Davis?
Okay, I'm having a little technical difficulty, but my questions I can still ask. In terms of the prime contractors for which we've done business for the personal services this quarter, do we have a breakdown of the subcontractors that they have? And have we been able to evaluate the inclusion of the subs on these personal services from the prime contractors from which we're doing business?
Yes. So the breakdown is, because you weren't able to bring up your thing when we first talked. So the breakdown of the subcontractor use for the quarter is actually separate. Actually, it's on that first page of the report. I think you have a quarterly report summary, and it says.
Will it tell me how much AECOM has done, or is it collectively all together?
Oh, okay, yes. So, when you are initially emailed the report, the first time I email it, if you notice, it's several pages long. It's like almost 200 pages long, because actually most of the pages are separate status reports for each contract. So if you look under the status, that one-page status report for each contract, you'll actually see the breakdown of their MBE, WBE, SBE, whatever.
For each prime contract?
Yes, actually.
Because what I wanted to evaluate is the performance of our big prime contractors.
Correct, and so that's part of that,
able to achieve and what they're not able to achieve as it relates to inclusion.
Right. So that's actually part of the 186-page report that I initially send you. What the part that you're seeing actually as your summary is actually the only first 23 pages.
Okay, and okay, I got you. So this is the AECOM performance right here. Okay. All right, if I have any questions, I'll call you.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks. And Sherry, I do have one request, but I'll ask you after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
you. Thank you. Moving along, contract administration. Ms. Kim, hi.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Executives, Mr. Jordan. My name is Heidi Kim, and I'm with the Office of Wage Standards, Bureau of Contract Administration. The Bureau has 12 contracts that will be expiring in the next reporting quarter on May 4th. The Office of Wage Standards issued an RFQ with the board-approved successor contracts that have been executed to ensure continuous service. They were contested by the City Clerk on April 10th. And there are no task order solicitation activities that occurred during the reporting period.
Okay, any questions at all from Ms. Kim on contract administration? Just to confirm, we don't have any gaps in performance in any of the subject contracts, correct?
Yes, the contracts expire on May 4th, and the new contracts were contested and are executed currently, and we've issued a TOS in advance of the expiration.
Okay, so we have a bridge program if we need it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Davis?
So the pre-qualified on-call list are the list of community-based organizations that do our outreach for minimum wage. Is that right?
Yes, paid sick leave and fair chance initiative for hiring ordinance.
So they will expire next quarter,
Yes.
and you'll be back to the board to ask for some continuation.
These contracts will not be extended because of the scope of work has slightly changed. The new contracts were already approved by you and executed and contested by the city clerk on April 10th of this, so last 2 weeks ago. So there's no gap in service. There's no continuation of the previous contract. These are just new contracts with 10 consultants. I believe 8 or so of them are the same as last time. I can read both lists to you if you'd like.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. That's
Thank you,
fine.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Street Services, Monica Shelton Pearson. Hello.
Hello, good morning. I'm Monica Shelton Frierson, and I'm representing the Bureau of Street Services. Okay, so we have a total of 5 personal service contracts, one of which is an OBE under the Clean Harbor. We're piggybacking off of sanitation. And to date, from January to March, they've invoiced a total of $6,490. And of that amount, $5,500 were services provided by a subcontractor. And for the next 90 days, we have no contracts expiring. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. Any questions? Thank you. Your report will be received.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned this Monday morning. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice week.